So today we're going to be talking about how insects breathe. So first I want you to think about how you breathe. You breathe in through your mouth and through your nose, and the air goes down into your lungs, and your lungs expand and fill up with oxygen, and then they contract and push out the carbon dioxide that we're trying to get rid of. And that carbon dioxide goes back out through our mouth and our nose. Well, what if I told you that insects don't have any lungs? How do they breathe if they don't have any lungs? Well, they've got these really cool little holes in the back of their thorax and their abdomen called spiracles. So these spiracles can open and close to let in oxygen. And attached to these spiracles inside of the insect are little tiny tubes called tracheoles. So the tracheoles, the oxygen flows through the spiracle into the little tube, and there's a bunch of oxygen inside the tube, and all those molecules are bumping into each other and bumping into each other. And just think about if you've been in a big crowd at like an amusement park or maybe at a parade and you're bumping into a bunch of people. It's not very fun, right? So the oxygen doesn't think it's very fun either, and it's like, I want to get out of this big crowd. So what does it do? Where can it go? Well, it can go into the insect's body. So it leaves all of the other oxygen molecules and goes into the insect's body to get away from all of those bumping into the other oxygen molecules. At the same time, the oxygen is going into the insect, and it's basically breathing in oxygen just like we do. Carbon dioxide is building up inside of the insect's body. So as it does digestion and as it beats its heart and does all of the stuff that it needs to do, carbon dioxide builds up inside of the insect's body and starts bumping into each other and into the other molecules of carbon dioxide, just like the oxygen was doing in the spiracles and in the tracheoles. So that carbon dioxide is like, I gotta get out of here, I gotta get out of this insect's body. So where can it go? Well, it can switch places with the oxygen and go into the tracheoles and leave through those little holes, those spiracles, and go out into the atmosphere outside of the insect's body. So basically, the insect is doing the exact same thing that you are. It's just using different stuff. It's breathing in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide through its spiracles. Well, there's a lot of insects that live underwater. How do they do that? Can you breathe underwater? If you can you teach me how? Because I can't breathe underwater. That's really cool. So most people, all people, have to use some sort of special tools or special gear to help them breathe underwater, because we can't breathe the water. We could if we had gills, but we don't have gills. That would be like a mermaid. That would be pretty cool. But unfortunately, we have to use something else. So we can use either snorkels, or maybe we use a scuba tank and we can go really far underwater. Insects can do basically the same thing. I bet humans thought we were really smart for thinking of that stuff. But actually, insects have been doing it way, way, way longer, way before people even existed. So what they do is, remember they have those little spiracles, those holes. Some of them will put those spiracles on the end of a long breathing tube that's basically like a little insect snorkel. And they can put that spiracle up above the water while the rest of their body is underneath. So think about going snorkeling in the ocean and seeing all the really cool fish and all of the cool reefs and stuff. Basically, the insect is doing the same thing. It's floating near the top of the water so that its little snorkel, its breathing tube, can go up above the water and it can swim around underneath. Okay, so remember I said that they can also have scuba tanks. Unfortunately, they don't have actual scuba tanks. They're tiny, tiny, tiny insect-sized scuba tanks, which is too bad because that sounds adorable. So what they do instead is they make their own scuba tank out of a bubble of air. So that bubble of air, it latches around the insect and around one of its spiracles, and it can go down underneath the water. And so the oxygen and the carbon dioxide can still do the same thing. The oxygen can come out of the water into the bubble and into the spiracle, and the carbon dioxide can leave the insect and go into the bubble and then dissolve into the water around it. So the bubble is acting like a scuba tank, which is really, really cool, right? The insects are pretty cool. Like, we think of them as little creepy crawly things, but they have some amazing adaptations to their surroundings and their environment that we could learn a lot from. So that's how insects breathe. Pretty cool, huh?